The Awakening. Lieutenant Jake Minho's eyes fluttered open to the sterile white ceiling of the medical bay. The last thing he remembered was stepping into the cryopod on Earth, volunteering for what they called deep space reconnaissance. 6 months was supposed to feel like a single night's sleep. "Easy there, soldier," came a voice that definitely wasn't human. Jake turned his head slowly, fighting the grogginess that clung to his mind like fog. Standing beside his pod was Captain Yon, a tall alien with pale blue skin and kind eyes that seemed to carry the weight of the galaxy. Behind him stood other crew members, beings Jake had only seen in briefing files. Commander Jaiwan's blue skin looked almost translucent under the bright lights, while the insectoid KTX clicked his mandibles nervously. "Captain," Jake croaked, his voice rough from months of disuse. "I'm guessing this isn't a routine wake-up call." Yon's expression darkened. "No, Lieutenant. We need your help. Something is destroying our colonies, and we're running out of time." As Jake slowly sat up, his muscles protesting after months of inactivity, Yon explained the situation. 23 colonies wiped out in 3 months. Tens of thousands dead. A creature that laughed at their most advanced weapons and vanished underground after each attack. "You want me to fight something that your entire fleet can't handle?" Jake asked, finally standing on unsteady legs. "We want you to think differently than we do," Yon replied. "Our technology is failing us. Maybe your perspective can see what we've missed." Jake looked around at the alien faces staring at him. Some showed curiosity, others barely concealed disdain. He was just a human, primitive by their standards, using chemical explosives and metal bullets while they wielded energy weapons that could crack planets. But he'd been a soldier long enough to recognize desperation when he saw it. "Show me what we're dealing with," he said. Patterns in the darkness. The bridge of the starship Stellar Wind hummed with activity as Jake studied the holographic displays showing the destroyed colonies. The devastation was absolute, buildings reduced to twisted metal, ground scorched black, everything that had once been alive now silent. "It's always the same," Commander Jaiwan explained, her fingers dancing over the control interface. "The creature appears without warning, destroys everything in exactly 4 hours, then disappears underground. No survivors except for 12 people found in the deepest shelters, and they remember nothing." Jake leaned closer to the display, his trained eye picking up details the aliens had missed. "Can you show me the destruction sequence? Not just the aftermath, the order of how things were hit." Communications Officer Yunji, the youngest crew member, pulled up the tactical analysis. The power stations were always destroyed first, then communication arrays, then water treatment facilities. "It's hunting methodically," Jake murmured, studying the pattern. "Not just destroying, eliminating specific capabilities in order. Power first to blind them, communications to isolate them, water to prevent long-term survival." Captain Yon frowned. "You think it's intelligent?" "I think it's not just intelligent, it's tactical. It understands infrastructure." Jake pointed to the display. "Look at these impact points. It's not attacking randomly. It knows exactly what each building does." KTX clicked his mandibles dismissively. "We already tried strategic analysis. Our battle computers ran millions of calculations. This changes nothing." Jake turned to face the insectoid alien. "Your computers think like you do. Linear, logical, efficient. But what if this thing doesn't?" Before anyone could respond, an alarm klaxon blared through the bridge. Yunji's face went pale as she read her instruments. "Captain," she called out, her voice tight with fear. "We're receiving a distress signal from Colony Epsilon 7. The creature, it's attacking right now. First contact." The stellar wind dropped out of hyperspace above Colony Epsilon 7 just as the 4-hour mark approached. Jake stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display as the creature's energy signature moved through the colony like a virus through a bloodstream. "Full weapons ready," Yon commanded. "All ships, prepare for coordinated assault." Wait, Jake said, studying the creature's movement pattern on the display. It's not moving randomly. Look, it's following the maintenance tunnels under the colony. Commander Jaiwan checked her readings. That's impossible. The tunnels are barely wide enough for a maintenance drone. Then it's not as big as we thought, or it can change shape. Jake turned to Yon. Captain, I need to get down there. Absolutely not, Yon replied firmly. We've lost entire squadrons to this thing. Because you've been fighting it like you fight everything else, Jake said. Head on, with overwhelming force. What if that's exactly what it wants? Before Yon could respond, the creature emerged from the colony's main plaza. Jake's breath caught as he saw it for the first time. It wasn't the massive beast he'd expected, it was roughly humanoid in shape, about 7 feet tall, with dark, shifting skin that seemed to absorb light. But its eyes held an intelligence that made Jake's skin crawl. It's looking at us, Yunji whispered. It knows we're here. The creature raised one arm toward their ship. For a moment, Jake thought it was some kind of weapon gesture. Then he realized the truth. It's waving, he said quietly. It's actually waving at us. Impossible, KTX clicked. Mindless beasts don't wave. No, Jake said, understanding flooding through him. They don't. But something that wants to communicate does. The creature stood motionless in the plaza, seemingly waiting. Around it, the colony burned, but it made no move to continue its destruction. It's waiting for us to come down, Jake realized. This whole time, it's been trying to get our attention. By destroying colonies? Yon asked incredulously. By doing the only thing guaranteed to bring the fleet running, Jake replied. Captain, I need to go down there. Alone. The encounter. Against all protocols and the protests of his crew, Captain Yon allowed Jake to take a shuttle down to the colony surface. Jake went alone, carrying only his service rifle and a portable communicator. The colony plaza was eerily quiet except for the crackling of distant fires. The creature stood exactly where they'd seen it from orbit, motionless as a statue. Up close, Jake could see that its dark skin rippled like liquid mercury, and its eyes held depths that seemed older than stars. Jake stopped about 50 meters away and slowly set his rifle on the ground. I'm here, he called out. What do you want? The creature tilted its head, studying him with obvious curiosity. When it spoke, its voice resonated directly in Jake's mind rather than through sound. You are different, it said. The others think in straight lines, in categories of enemy and ally. But you see patterns they miss. You've been testing us, Jake realized. The colonies, the 4-hour windows, the survivors, it's all been a test. My people have watched yours for centuries, the creature continued. The galaxy is ruled by those who think they know everything. They build bigger weapons, more complex strategies, but they never question their assumptions. Jake took a careful step forward. And humans do. Humans adapt. Humans improvise. When faced with a problem they cannot solve with brute force, they find another way. The creature's form shifted slightly, becoming more solid, more defined. We needed to know if your species was ready. Ready for what? A darkness comes from beyond this galaxy. Something that will make our tests look like children's games. The advanced races will fall because they cannot think beyond their programming. But your people might survive. Jake felt a chill that had nothing to do with the planet's atmosphere. You're not the real threat. You're preparing us for something worse. The survivors in the shelters, they remember nothing because they were not meant to. But they carry something now. A genetic marker that will activate when the true enemy arrives. They will be immune to its primary weapon. And the colonies you destroyed? Were already compromised. We cleansed them before the infection could spread. The creature began to fade, becoming translucent. Tell your Captain Yon that the tests are complete. Humanity has passed. But prepare quickly, you have perhaps a year before they arrive. As the creature dissolved into shadow, Jake heard its final words echo in his mind, "Cheers, Captain Pops. Your species gives us hope." The revelation. Jake stood alone in the plaza for several minutes after the creature vanished, trying to process what he'd learned. The communicator crackled to life with Captain Yohn's voice. "Lieutenant, report. The creature's energy signature has disappeared completely." "It's gone, Captain," Jake replied, picking up his rifle. "And we need to talk. All of us." An hour later, Jake sat in the Stellar Winds conference room, facing the senior staff. He'd told them everything, about the tests, the coming darkness, the genetic markers. The silence that followed was deafening. "You're asking us to believe," KTX finally said, his voice skeptical, "that this creature destroyed 23 colonies to help us?" "To prepare us," Jake corrected. "Those colonies were already compromised by some kind of infection from the real enemy. The creature was cleaning house before it could spread." Commander Jaiwan leaned forward. "And the 12 survivors from each colony? They're carriers now. Not of infection, but of immunity. When the real threat arrives, they'll be the ones who can resist its primary weapon." Captain Yohn was quiet for a long moment, then activated his communicator. "Admiral Hennick, this is Captain Yohn. We need to speak immediately. Priority Alpha." The Admiral's weathered face appeared on the screen minutes later. "Captain, please tell me you have good news about the creature." "Sir, the immediate threat has passed, but we've learned of a greater danger approaching," Yohn said. He summarized Jake's encounter and the creature's warning. Admiral Hennick listened without interruption, his expression growing more grave with each detail. When Yohn finished, the Admiral was quiet for nearly a minute. "Captain," he finally said, 3 hours ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected massive energy signatures approaching from outside the galaxy. Something is coming, and it's big. Very big." Jake felt his blood turn cold. "How long do we have?" "Our best estimates say 8 to 10 months. The creature said about a year," Jake said. It was being optimistic. Admiral Hennick's image flickered as he transmitted new orders. "Captain Yohn, you're to return immediately to Alliance headquarters. Lieutenant Minho, you're being promoted to Strategic Advisor for Human Integration. It seems your species is about to become very important to the survival of the galaxy." As the connection ended, Jake looked around at the alien faces that had once seemed so superior, so advanced. Now they looked to him with something he'd never expected to see, hope. "Well," Jake said, standing up, "looks like it's time for the human to teach the galaxy a few things about thinking outside the box." Captain Yohn smiled, the first genuine smile Jake had seen from him. "Welcome to the war, Advisor Minho. Let's hope your species' talent for improvisation is as good as our mysterious ally believes it is." Through the viewports, stars wheeled past as the stellar wind set course for home, carrying with it the knowledge that the real battle for the galaxy was just beginning. But for the first time since the crisis started, they had hope. And sometimes, hope was the most powerful weapon of all. The end.